What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Eric for President. You know the drill, your one-stop shop for 5 VR stories you missed over the past couple days. And as with every video, links and sources for every topic discussed will be in the video description, and timestamps for every story will be in the pinned comment down below. That way you can watch what you want because your time is valuable to me. With that being said, there's a couple other pinned messages down there. The current Oculus Quest headset giveaway is still going on. You can enter at the gleam.io link in the pinned comment. And the secondary channel where we have daily VR clips, usually in the 5 to 6 minute range. They're kind of my VR therapy. Thank you for all those who are watching, giving me feedback on that. I'm having a blast with that channel. With that being said, we have quite a bit to go over today, so let's jump right into what's going on in the VR scene. We start today off with a story about the developers of Sairento. They're actually working on a second game, and they've actually outreached with a very special message that I think deserves your attention, and they need your help. Now, this was posted on Reddit by one of the game's developers, and I'll sum it up this way. They list off every misstep, miscalculation, every problem, and more that they've ever caused, and to be honest, it's overkill, and they are just too hard on themselves, but the amount of honesty, openness, and self-critique here shows that these developers know exactly their strengths, their weaknesses, and are ready to deliver one hell of a new game. For those unfamiliar with Sairento, their past game, you play a cyber ninja where you can perform triple jumps, wall runs, power slides, all the really cool stuff, including slowing down time while blasting away enemies. There's tons of weapons, unlockables, and replayability to very, very positive reviews. For their new game in development, here's what we know. It will be another combat simulator, but even more visceral and brutal than Sairento. They want to pull no punches, and we can expect to experience a combat experience that is bigger, badder, and crazier than Sairento, with very much rogue-like components, which will help with replayability. Snippets of their work in progress will be coming, and I'll link their Discord in the video description as well. That way you can help them with all the feedback they need. That's where we are with this one. I want to highlight it because go read that Reddit post. The amount of transparency and honesty, it's super refreshing. They're definitely too hard on themselves. But if you read it, they know themselves. They know themselves well. They know what they want to do for the next game. And Sairento, it has been in VR for a while. It's done a great job for the community, and they've done a tremendous job with that game. So I'm looking forward to what they're producing next. Give them some feedback and let me know what you think. But I also bring up that Sairento article because it's a good segue into our next topic about what makes these new games better. And a common thing I saw about the new Sairento game that people want, and another article that's been making the rounds as well, all about VR physics and the future of VR gaming. In the comments of the Sairento post, there seems to be a very, very consistent message of wants, and that's physics-based interactions in combat. With the success of games like Saints and Sinners, Boneworks, and for what many anticipate from Half-Life Alyx, what was once acceptable in a VR game is quickly getting outdated, and game expectations are raising, with physics being a large key component of newer VR games. In an article from VR Focus by Thomas Curtis, he discusses the importance for VR to go mainstream to embrace the growing trend of employing consistent, universal, and realistic physics rules to every object in an experience, so that when a player manipulates or uses that object, it reacts realistically to both the player's input and all other objects and masses in the VR space. And you know what? That's how you build a realistic virtual world. And yeah, I know, that was a mouthful. This realistic virtual world is exactly what the media like movies and still of what VR can be, and shows why VR physics are so important. It's possible that the bar set by Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx may turn any VR experience where you phase through walls into something inadequate. So yeah, that's where we are right now, and I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. Are VR physics and VR physics-based combat, are they to be more expected now of newer titles coming out? Are we at that tipping point where we require this basically fundamental progression into more VR techniques like VR physics-based combat? That's something I'd like to hear your thoughts on. But let's talk about something a lot more juicier, because the Oculus Quest, something that of course is the most mainstream VR headset right now, could potentially getting more powerful with the proof of concept that's out now that we're going to talk about. But I do put this disclaimer, this is just proof of concept right now. There is no timeline for this ever coming, and the concepts in this are pretty high level VR, way above my knowledge base, I do admit that. So if you are familiar with these concepts and know if this could be practical, if this could happen, please leave your thoughts in the comment, that way you can educate us all. Facebook researchers have apparently figured out a way to use machine learning with the Oculus Quest to give it up to 67% more GPU power to work with, although this does come with a disclaimer of purely research from Facebook. As many know, the Snapdragon processor inside the Oculus Quest is fairly underpowered, and with this new technique, it works by rendering visuals at a lower resolution than normal. Then the center of the view gets upscaled using a machine learning algorithm. With enough time and enough learning, this can make a much more detailed output from the system. I referred earlier to this just being a concept, because in the paper that detailed this new knowledge, it was not directed at VR, but there was a mention of temporally coherent and visually pleasing results in VR. Researchers claim that when rendering at say 70% lower resolution, that this technique can save around 40% of GPU time, leading to better battery life and room to do now more with the software. Where this really could play out more realistically is for the next generation of VR headsets that will most likely, or at least hopefully, incorporate eye tracking and foveated rendering. It's a very interesting development. I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. There is no indication that this is coming, but there's also no indication that this can't be done. So at this point in time, it's a waiting game. And if you're very familiar with these concepts, please let us know your thoughts down in the comment. That way you can let us know if this is something that could happen, or if there's too many roadblocks and we'll be waiting until the next generation of headsets. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But concerning the Oculus Quest, and yes, I know this is a little bit of an Oculus Quest heavy episode, there is even a bigger announcement of something tangible that you can do right now that I think is going to have the biggest impact to make VR mainstream. Beat Saber mixed reality content has been probably one of the most influential combos helping VR get spread to the masses. However, until recently, this amazing app called Live, or Live depending on how you pronounce it, spelled L-I-V, was PC VR only. Now, however, if you want to use the Live software with your Oculus Quest, you don't even need a link cable. All you need is an Oculus Quest, a PC running the new beta Live app for the Quest, which I will link in the video description, and a camera setup, and you're good to go. And FYI, the computer requirements for Live software are very minimal, so many people will be able to take advantage of this. Right now, not all games are supported, but many of the best ones for the Oculus Quest are including Beat Saber, Hyperdash, O-Shape, Superhot, and more. Sure, you could use the Oculus Link to already make this happen, but you got your Oculus Quest to be wireless, and now that's possible. You'll need to join the Live Discord to get started, so check the description for the link. So yeah, it's an amazing thing. I did not see this coming already, and I'm really glad it is here, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But think of it this way. Beat Saber has done more for VR than we give it credit for sometimes. It has done a lot to give VR to more people and to show what it can do. And mixed reality footage is a key component of that because it shows exactly what it's like in there, as close as it can be. To someone who's never experienced VR or seeing it for the first time, it gives them much better self-awareness of what the experience is like rather than just watching it through the lenses, basically a screen recording. And because of that, with content creators and just you who are watching this, possibly putting out mixed reality content, it's more eyes on VR, more ways for you to share your experience. And by sharing these VR experiences, because let's be honest, there's not many commercials for it, this is how VR goes mainstream, or an easier way for it to do. And I'm very excited for this app. It's a great thing. And finally, let's talk about Nvidia, and they're doing their whole Twitter marketing campaign right now for something coming. I'm interested, and a lot of people have some guesses about what it is. Posted on Twitter March 11th, you have what looks to resemble a human eye and iris with a couple dots moving in the fashion of, say, your pupil focusing on an area. The only text is the date, March 19th, with an eye emoji. What is a very common explanation and guess that I've seen as to what this means is that Nvidia is potentially teasing an eye tracking and foveated rendering announcement. It is very probable that this could be a software implementation that headsets to come may be able to take advantage of, putting aside a few other barriers they would have to solve. Nvidia has done things already with static foveated rendering and variable rate shading, so it's plausible they are now investing in the next step and creating a feature for a dynamic foveated rendering. Although I do make this thought, when creating a software feature that now can't be actively used, it does seem a little suspect that it may not actually be eye tracking or foveated rendering, with some thinking this RTX feature may be ray tracing instead, since that's starting to become the standard for traditional consoles and VR may want to keep up. I'll have to wait and see until March 19th. I just thought it was very interesting. It seems very VR centric. It seems like something's up their sleeve, and I'm very interested to see what it is, but let me know your guesses in the comments. With that being said though, that is the end of today's episode. Thank you very much for watching, and please leave a like to support this video. It would mean a lot to me. Also make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon, that way you never miss an upload, because YouTube, they never send notifications out. And finally, join the Patreon, because everything put in there is reinvested right back to y'all. That way we can keep giving more and more headsets away. And as always everyone, I will see you on the next one, VR Space Cowboys.